Okay, let's explore this incremental costing or relevant costing situation. We've got the Biden-Harris company. They have 125,000 of inventory. It has suffered minor smoke damage from a fire in the warehouse. Now, the company can sell the goods the way it is for 45,000, or they can be cleaned and shipped to an outlet center, which will cost 23,000, and then it can be sold for 80,000. So we're asked to determine which one is more desirable, which alternative, and what are the relevant costs. Now, this is how I would lay out this analysis if I was asked to put this together. First off, what I would say is I'd want to put a schedule of the revenues, and then for educational value, I'm going to list which costs are sunk, which ones are relevant, what the total is, and then what would the margin be from this. Okay, so if we look at the as-is option, what do we know? We know we can sell it for 45,000. The value of the inventory is 125,000. That's a sunk cost. There's nothing we can do about it. It's already been incurred. So with that option, it looks like we'll record a book loss at this point of $80,000, right? And this is not cash flow. If we were just looking at this and saying, what's the cash flow from this alternative? Well, we would generate 45,000, right? We've already incurred the sunk cost, assuming we paid for it, and that's before taxes. But in terms of incremental costing, the only relevant cost here is actually a revenue. The 45,000 is going to be something new. We can consider that to be relevant to the decision at hand. Now, if we consider the cleaned and shipped alternative, the revenues become 80,000. And because 80,000 is different from 45,000, this is a relevant item to us. I wouldn't exactly call it a relevant cost because it's a relevant revenue, but it's relevant to this decision. Now, the sunk cost is still the 125,000. Whether we sell it as is or whether we clean and ship it, in other words, we do further processing to it, it's not going to change. So that's a sunk cost. It is irrelevant to the decision at hand. But that further processing cost is different between the two alternatives, and that makes it a relevant cost. Now, then the total cost would be 148,000. The contribution margin would be less than as is, so that tells us that the cleaning shipping is the better alternative. Now, just for listing the relevant cost, I went over here and showed the relevant revenue of 35,000. That would be relevant because it changes between the alternatives, and the 23,000 also changes. And then just to complete the schedule, or at least partially complete it, I wanted to show which alternative is better and by how much. And certainly the cleaning and shipping is the better alternative by $12,000, the difference between the 80 and the 68. Okay, so that's just a brief incremental and relevant costing situation.